Welcome to the inaugural episode, the first ever episode of Bikey Gang. Woo!
This is the gang.
This is the gang.
Welcome to our gang.
The gang is all here, and you're probably thinking to yourself, what the heck kind of shenanigans does this gang get up to?
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah. Well, we love bikes. Oh God, do I love bikes?
Oh my God.
We like bikeable cities, but we're not just about bikes too. We like walkable cities. We like public transportation. We like cities in general, even if you need a car. You know,
and we hate cars.
We do hate cars, but you know, we do love cities, and that is the main point of this podcast, is to talk about cities, the different places that Joseph and I have been. Talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, and hopefully you guys will come along with us and learn some cool city facts.
Cool city facts. And for the first city we got on here, we chose one that everyone's been asking for.
It's a big one.
Big one on the docket. Yeah. all two of ourselves have asked for this one. But we got Eugene, Oregon here. It's the kind of the most obvious one, because me and Eric have we both lived there for at least 3 years. I lived there for 5. And
5 whole years.
Yeah, and I visited it not too long ago, about a month ago. I was there. So it's pretty, and Eric also visited.
Numerous times after I left, I came back.
Yeah.
And enjoyed
most recent.
Every time.
Yeah, true. Yeah, oddly enough, it's well, I guess first of all, it's known as a college town for the University of Oregon, but we'll dive deeper into it, and you kind of see that it's in our opinion it's more than a college town. It's kind of ramping up to be.
And before we do dive any deeper, I would like to give a quick shout out to my friend's Basement Studios and our friend and our old RA, Connor Kathiachain. And because Connor used to be our RA and used to be our supervisor, we thought to ourselves, you know what? Let's do it again. Let's have Connor be our boss again. And in honor of that, I'm creating a little concoction here, a little screwdriver, because that's what we used to do under Connor's watch all the time.
Oh my goodness! This is to Connor, the perpetual resident advisor. That's what it stands for, right? All right. I think that's what it stands for. Okay. He confirms on the sidelines that that's what it stands for.
And this video is not sponsored, but shout out to the good folks over at Hood River Distillery. Really helped make our college years fantastic.
Yeah.
If you enjoy that fresh, crisp taste of battery acid, then boy, is Hood River Distillery the place for you.
Yeah.
And it's a deep history with Hood River. They're the first ones to create American absinthe. And and ever since then, they've been terrifying our taste buds with devious concoctions. And I've got a little bit of their vodka right here to finish off the screwdriver.
The spirit of Eugene, quite literally.
Right. This is not a sponsored ad read, but River, it could be. Give us some of that money, baby.
Fingers crossed they'll see this and be like, holy shit, they're actually drinking it. All right, so yeah, Eugene, Oregon.
That is something.
Located only an hour and a half away from Eugene, Oregon. by the way, is Hood
That's
River.
true. Very close.
You can get it straight from the river over there.
Straight from the potato teat.
Yeah. This is vodka too, by the
way. Joseph's a bit more of a man than I am. He drinks it straight
in a glass, in a glass cup, so everyone can see. But yeah, all right. So Eugene, Oregon. I think we both remember it fondly. Not only remember it, but it's worth the fondness, I guess. Quick demographics. Like we said earlier, it is a college town, known as a college town. So there is quite a big population of youths. If you're into that kind of thing, and we're the a lot of crazy children out there, getting their Hood River on.
That big plastic tub. Nothing says quality like a big plastic jug.
That's right. And if you don't want to go, an hour and a half away to the beautiful Hood River, Oregon, the Hood River Distillery, there are a lot of really good breweries in town.
It's very true. Ninkasi.
They got Ninkasi. Ale Song is my personal favorite. It's got it's a farmer's ale only brewery. Well, they do sours as well, but that place is really good, and it's in Eugene, Oregon. Well, it has like I think two different tasting bars. I think that's what it's called.
Is that one new? Because I haven't heard of that one. Did that come around when I left?
I think it was. Well, no, you remember when we went to the Fifth Street Market? I think we went there. Did we visit that?
Maybe when I was last there in
with JC.
Spring? Yeah. Okay, yeah.
We went to Fifth Street. Yeah, we went to Fifth Street, and that's that place up on top.
Oh, that floor. Had like the chocolate vodka and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So I guess it does have other. Yeah, it has really interesting flavors, but really good stuff. High percentage though, and relatively pricey. It's not the cost of a Budweiser, obviously.
Yeah.
But, anyway,
unfortunate.
Unfortunate. If everything should just be the price of a
Budweiser. My name's Joseph Birdsall, and when I run for president, that's my platform. Everything's the cost of a Budweiser.
That's right. Not just alcohol. Everything.
Everything. You want a house?
Yeah.
It's what? $1.50?
Budweiser. Some things will actually get more expensive because not everything is $1.50. So you go to the dollar store and you get screwed. But,
right.
It balances out.
You get cheap plastic stuff for $1 when you also could have gotten, a car for $1.
Yeah. You really got screwed on that, man. Next time you buy an Arizona iced tea, you'll be like, oh, shit, I could be buying the car with this money, it's got a lot of good breweries. I guess even more noteworthy is all of the dispensaries that it has. It's really big on the weed culture. If you're in
Oregon was along with Colorado. Those were the first two states. I think they did it in Washington. Washington and Colorado were the first two, and Oregon was close behind.
Yeah. I remember it as being one of the first. Actually, I remember before moving there that it was already known as kind of like a weed place. Stoner heaven.
Our entire time in college, recreational marijuana was legal, and some people in our circles took full advantage of that.
Some people. They I used to have a roommate that when I first moved in, that he really took advantage, like full force. Good guy.
Good guy, a crazy guy.
But yeah, it has. I wish I knew how many dispensaries there were, but it's quite a huge amount. Like per square mile, there must be like three. You know,
Like three,
probably
two, maybe three.
two, at least three.
Yeah,
There's a street. It's called High Street after the names that the I think there's actually like five dispensaries on that one street. So, do you know a
there
good
is
place? Yeah.
also apparently one of the most common crimes in Eugene is the theft of the high street sign.
Oh yeah.
People
You don't need
people
to.
love to steal that street sign.
Yeah. If you're ever on a street that doesn't have a street sign, you know where you are because it's High
You're
Street.
on High Street. You
Yeah.
are on High Street. If you don't know
Yeah.
where you are, you're on
You're
High
on
Street.
High Street
I feel like that's a good metaphor for life too. If you don't know
on
where
many
you
levels.
are, you're on High Street, buddy.
On many levels, you are. Yeah. Oh,
So
so yeah,
yeah,
a lot of dispensaries.
Eugene is very well catered to the 20 somethings.
Yeah, that's right. Good.
But I mean, there's also you get outside of campus and downtown, and there's a lot of cute like family neighborhood kind of stuff. So there's family stuff going on there. But
there certainly is. Yeah.
if you do decide to settle down and raise your children in Eugene, you run the extreme risk of having your child become a Eugene townie, which let me tell you, that is not a compliment. Do you remember when that professor, Ben, the hippie farmer dude, asked us if we were from Eugene? And we were both like,
yeah.
no, how dare you say that?
He took it as an offense.
It's an offense.
That was
yeah.
he did oddly enough, I think he was from Eugene, and of course he was a hippie weed farmer that was also
a weed farmer. Yeah.
An assistant teacher, I think. At the
he was
UL.
like in his mid to late 40s, had like a gauge, just typical like classic Eugene. He was definitely a townie.
Yeah.
And we can't talk about Eugene culture without talking about the Eugene youth, the ones who like to scream and howl at the bus stop.
There's always a howler. There's always a howler. You go downtown, the bus stop is like centered right downtown, like right by the kind of where all the main bars are. And what a great combination. Like there's the public library where
which is
where
a cool
people
building.
It is a neat building, yeah, but it is public though. So bring a nose plug if you're going in there.
Yeah.
I remember one time I had to go in there to do some kind of essay that I didn't want to do in the campus library. I think it was closed or something, but I could not stand the smell of that place. It's so sad because it's such a nice place, but it's pretty tough to ignore it.
It's a beautiful building, and coincidentally enough, for one of my school projects, for those of you who don't know, I have a degree in city planning, which is kind of why I'm doing this podcast. And because of that, I had to go to a lot of like town hall meeting kind of stuff for classes. I was at a town hall meeting thing that was taking place in the public library, and it was on the homeless. And for context, Eugene is a small town, but per capita has the highest number of homeless people, higher than New York, higher than LA, in terms of per capita homeless people.
Did not know that. Oh my god.
Eugene also has very high mental health problems and one of the highest tobacco usage. In fact, Lane County was the first area before the state of California to raise the tobacco age to 21. But anyway, I'm at this town hall meeting about the homeless issue and the mental health issue that the city's facing. And it's just the most Eugene woman ever. She stands up and, how dare we degrade these people? They're living a heroic life. They've decided to live outside the boundaries of society and constraints, and we should be applauding these people. Like, lady, these people are yelling at women and making them uncomfortable. Meanwhile, you're probably somewhere in the suburbs being like, in theory, this is just beautiful.
In theory.
In theory. But, like, the kind of woman who, like, talks like that, and she's like, isn't it just grand? Isn't it just marvelous that they've decided to do this? Like, no, the whole meeting is that they're not doing good. They're not
not doing well, man. They definitely need help.
Yeah, people who need help, people who this also the Eugene breed of homeless people. It's not your typical homeless person like you see in a big city where there's they just don't have money. They came from nothing, never able to get on their feet. These are people who have like the woman said, they've decided to kind of, they want to live outside of society, and so they decide that they're going to do a bunch of drugs at the bus stop and harass people for fun. Not for money, just for fun.
Just for fun. Yeah, that's true. Not too many homeless are asking for money, but they will
they'll just come up to you and like scream at you for fun.
Yeah, pretty much. They're definitely attention grabbing.
And I think JC had a really interesting take on it, because there's no question that Eugene and Oregon itself it's a very liberal place. Kind of lives in this extreme liberal sort of area, and there's kind of this feel. I feel like a lot of kids that grow up there are raised with a lack of boundaries, with the whole, I'm just going to let my child follow his passions and blah, 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 blah. And then at the end, your child is growing up in a city that idolizes Ken Kesey, who is an author, did One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, but he's also super well known for popularizing LSD and bringing it to the West Coast. And that's the reason he's your hero. And that's the reason you have statues of him all over the place. Because he popularized acid. So you're growing up in this place with no boundaries, a place that idolizes just an absurd amount of acid use, and now you have teenagers who aren't in school during school hours, but are at a bus stop reeking of cigarettes and rolling around in the streets screaming at people. On
top of all that, Eugene is a pretty easy place to live, so they can kind of do this, as long as they would like, and they have access to pretty much what I would imagine to be the cheapest cannabis in the country.
Yeah.
Remember when I was last there, it was $17 an ounce, which is
$17 an ounce.
$17 an ounce. So yeah, pretty much free if you do it per joint,
Here in Boston, you're lucky to find like a pre-roll for under 10. Getting a whole ounce for 17.
It's pretty tough, man. Yeah, Eugene definitely a place where people can get rowdy. Although the population as of 2022 is 175,000, and it's expected to keep growing. It's grown steadily since the 90s at about 2,000, 2,000 more people per year. And it's expected to grow even more.
Yeah.
So um, there's a lot of people that want to get in and buy some land, but they also have to factor in the people that don't want any land, I guess, um, and figure out how to manage those two kind of worlds that are about to collide. Um,
Yeah.
there's the
Because
yeah.
oh, so I'll let you finish your thought and then I'll go.
There's the new kind of new transplants from California and New York, and also neighboring parts of Oregon that are moving to Eugene. And then there's the people that, like Eric was saying, they were born here with not very many uh, restrictions, and the rent prices has gone up quite a lot, because I guess the county, they kind of see everyone moving in as equal to or greater than um, the the parents of the students. Um, so they think that everyone's pretty much in the same kind of income bracket, um, but that's not really the case. Uh, so it is getting rent is getting pretty um, a
You
lot
were
more
you were
expensive than it
most
used to be.
you were most recently looking at um, rent prices in Eugene. When we were going to school, when we were living together,
Yeah,
we were paying like
yeah,
450 for a
yeah.
room.
That
How
was
how
great.
far away is that now today?
It's pretty. It's pretty. It's there. There's no 450 ever.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I mean, we were living with six other people.
6 other
Um,
people.
yeah, but even so, I mean, I remember uh, that 450 wasn't that uncommon, even if you were living with two people. Um,
No,
it
in
would, well,
fact,
probably
that
around
was
500.
we were pretty much kind of in the median range. We didn't when
Yeah,
we told people, oh, it's like 450. They're like, oh, okay, yeah.
yeah, pretty
Now there are
much.
people who had more, who had to pay
Yeah,
more for sure. But there are also
for
plenty
sure.
of people who's like, oh, that's not a deal, you know.
Yeah,
I'm paying like I'm paying like 330.
yeah. If, if they have it like four people instead of seven. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, I do remember right after I graduated. This would be in 2019, 2020. I moved into an apartment complex with two other people, so it's a three-person place, and I was paying 500 a month for three-person. Really nice place, and really good location. Um, it wasn't close. I mean, uh, it was fairly close to campus, but it was not campus housing. Um, it was around Safeway, which was about I want to say a mile away from the university. Um, but 500 at 2019. Now I look on Zillow and you can't find anything that's $500 unless it's a literal hole in the wall. Um, and most places are going to be over $900 now if you're living alone. If you're living with people, it'll be easier to find a decent place. But really, what you're really paying for isn't what Eugene is presenting. Really, what you're paying for, it ends up being um, pretty much the college town aspect of it. The prices are all kind of placed um, uh, so that anyone who's going to college kind of gives their money over to the city, which it makes sense for the city, but at the same time, uh,
right.
it's harder to live over there.
And
Um,
like I did mention, there are families who do live there, and like you go outside of
yeah,
campus, and there are lots of
yeah.
very very nice family neighborhoods. Um,
It's the weird thing is that it's well, you do pay for the location, I guess. It's about, like, we should mention that you're pretty much 2 hours away from any outdoors activity you want to do. Or some of it is right in town, but you're 2 hours away from the coast, 2 hours away from the desert and Bend, 2 hours away from the mountains, and 2 hours away from the city, Portland. So there's a lot of that. But
Yeah.
speaking of Portland, the rent over in Portland is about, on average, like, there's a lot of places, a lot of really nice places too for a single bedroom. They're about $700, and you can't find that over in Eugene. And you think about what Portland has to offer versus what Eugene has to offer.
Eugene has to offer, yeah.
Eugene's a great place, but
it's not.
You're clearly going to get more.
It's not. Yeah.
It's not a city, but they're just going under the assumption that everyone's a college student and their parents are chipping in to pay 1,100 for a single bedroom. So yeah, just that to keep in mind if you're thinking of moving to Eugene. The prices.
That is a super interesting point, because what I always had when I always described Eugene to my friends, who were like, "Oh, what's Eugene like?" Eugene, I would always say it's like Eugene is almost like a more Portlandy or Portland, because it isn't constrained by the fact that it is a big city, right? Like Portland is like the big city, and like has big corporations and companies and like actual like responsibilities, whereas like even the town of Eugene itself doesn't really seem to have any responsibilities, and neither do the people who live there.
Right.
Which isn't a knock. I mean, every time I go to Eugene, I love it. It's like
it's a fun
there,
time.
you're hanging out, you're picking berries, you're going to the river, and that's awesome. But that also does that allows for people to be weirder. It's the keep Portland weird thing. Eugene is weirder than Portland.
Eugene is definitely doing it more than Portland is.
Yeah, because they have
terms of weirdness.
But it is going to be interesting now that Eugene is growing so much, more than I realized. That how that is going to change.
And how
weird is Eugene going to be in 5 years?
True. Yeah.
Is that, and once
will
again,
it be gentrified,
I know I spent a little bit of time on my soapbox talking about the issues of Eugene's weirdness, but at the same time, I don't think it's necessarily good for it to become just a smaller Portland. That would be
it'd be a waste of the what makes it unique.
Right.
It is kind of a double-edged sword, but you do like the there's a reason there's a separation between weekends and weekdays, I guess. I guess Eugene is a perpetual weekend, which is good. You want your weekends, but you don't want to be like consumed by it.
I think this is a good time to talk about the new project that Mario was talking to us about. So apparently there are plans to knock down Taylor's bar, which is a very popular, it's like the college bar for the University of Oregon, and it's been there for decades and decades. And it's it's a recognizable building, on top of it, it's just a bar, blah, 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 but it has like a interesting kind of like golden spire, and it's like been a bar for decades, and like that building was made to be a bar, and it's right across from I mean, it is. It's made to be a bar, and it's right across from the campus, and like it's for college students to go there, have fun, dance, cut a rug or two. And that, one of the most popular like college bars.
Yeah,
they are tearing it down, just to get it out of the way, the management at Taylor's was bad. Management needed to be kicked out, and it needed to become a different thing, a different bar. It needed to become a different bar with different management.
Specifically, yeah.
But like I said, that building needs to be a bar.
Yeah.
And this could once again just be like old man syndrome, where it's like, well, when I was a kid, there it was a bar and it was so much fun, and these kids they're all fucked up. But they're tearing down the bar and the surrounding, like there's all sorts of little restaurants and stuff. They're tearing it down to build.
Oh, wow.
They're tearing it down to build a high rise, presumably student oriented living.
That's really sad. I did not know that. Mario told you this. I guess I didn't hear about that. I assumed that they were going to tear down Taylor's eventually, which alone is sad, because to have a bar that's right across from your campus is pretty amazing. Like you can see people taking classes through the through the windows. Yeah. You could be cheering your friends from Taylor's, but I didn't know that they're going to take off that whole area. So Eugene has kind of two. Well, it kind of has two downtowns in a sense. I guess if you think about two drinking, drinking hubs, I guess,
downtown and campus.
Yeah, so there's the campus one, which is on that street that Eric was mentioning, which used to include Taylor's, which is now closed. So you kind of have like a division between people who go to the university and drink, and people who don't go to the university and drink down in the downtown. With Taylor's being closed, and if they're gonna tear down the rest of it, I guess we're gonna see a lot of integration from the between the college students and the townies, quote unquote. Which should be interesting.
I don't know about that. I think.
Well, yeah, we still have Rennie's on.
Yeah, Rennie's is still there. Hopefully, that was my favorite. I think it was your favorite too.
Yeah, Jackalope and Rennie's.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's really sad, man.
But yeah, it's and my issue looking at it from a city planner eye, if I could for a moment or two.
I'll allow
it. No.
From regular eyes only.
From regular eyes only. It could be done well, but I don't think it will be. I think it'll just. I always look at high rises with kind of a skeptical eye, because what you're doing is you're tearing down something that's unique to the city, Taylor's, and then a bunch of the little shops around it, and turning it into just some bland glass and metal building.
Most likely going to be pretty much cubic. No real detail put into it at all.
Probably going to be expensive, because it's right across the street from campus. So it's probably going to be where students with well-off parents are paying for the rent. And you're just going to have this kind of bland, tall building that doesn't really serve the community, other than, I guess, it's attracting students from the Bay Area and LA.
There's yet another double-edged sword for Eugene is the student population. Obviously, they give the city a lot of money. It definitely helps the economy. There's no question about that. I guess you could argue that University of Oregon is probably not argue. I think it is the biggest economy or economic input in the city.
Definitely the biggest force for Eugene. Yeah.
But then on the other hand, you get things like this where these kind of projects where it intends to help the university, but in doing so, it kind of sacrifices a bit of the culture of Eugene, a bit of the the uniqueness of it, and on architecture.
The architecture, which something stuff that I'll get into more. But I mean, you're risking turning Eugene into a place that nobody wants to go to, because right now it is a place that a lot of people want to go to, and
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
it's kind of an issue with a lot of cities, right?
Yeah. Right.
There's
Yeah.
a city becomes popular, you build all these things, but then because you built all of these high rises and kind of destroyed the community that was under these high rises, now there's nothing cool about it anymore. And now, do people want to be here anymore? Then people leave,
Yeah.
and then you have now just these rundown high rises that nobody wants to live in anymore. And
Pretty much.
like I said, this is a far way ahead of the road. Taylor's the building is still there as we speak, and
Yeah.
but if this thing isn't done right, then it's on a crash
Slippery
course
slope.
for similar cities,
Yeah.
crash course onto which similar cities have gone through, of where you're destroying your character, and in the end, you're only undercutting yourself and your growth.
Yeah. Yeah. There should be some kind of balance that they, hopefully they don't see it as just a money grab, and they take their time to, to plan the city properly, so that it still looks nice. It still has that kind of unique feel to it. Eugene really, architecturally, it's kind of all over the place.
Yeah,
The one thing that I have in architecture as a negative is the student mass housing, the apartment complexes for UO students.
yeah.
13th and
13th
all,
and
the place
Olive.
where I live,
Yeah,
definitely not the nicest looking building. Uh,
yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of
Very,
places that
very
could
cookie cutter.
absolutely cookie
And
cutter.
like
Yeah,
you'll, I think we were looking at it too. They have buildings that look exactly the same in like cities all across the country. So it's just like
yeah,
you're at
yeah,
13th and Olive in Tennessee, or you're at 13th and Olive in
pretty much. Yeah,
Oklahoma. And it's
yeah.
the exact same thing.
It's that like similarity between like just these random places all around. It's like you walk into a Walmart in Eugene, you walk into a Walmart in Tennessee. It's the same format.
Yeah,
Same thing
yeah.
with the apartments. Um,
And like I
but
remember once again, town hall meetings I would go to where people were mad over the hub. People were mad about 13th and Olive. The city was actively trying to not have tall, high rise buildings. They didn't want that kind of look. They wanted to keep Eugene, small,
yeah,
neighborhood friendly
I
Eugene.
definitely talked to a few locals when I was last visiting there about how the city's changing, and they said that uh, it seems like they're doing pretty. Like, the city's handling stuff so far, but they do hope that Eugene keeps that kind of small town feel, even though it's the population is 175,000. They still kind of want that feeling of not overcrowded, not overbuilt.
Yeah.
They like that feeling, and that's why I like Eugene as well. And people like me and Eric that actually go back to visit. That's why we do it. It's that really interesting and relaxing culture that it's fostered. But one thing that I will say about its future is last time I was there, they they built a really extensive bike path around the river, which was no longer there, or which was not there before. On the I guess on the northeast side of the Willamette River,
Uh-huh.
there used to be this kind of just like you remember it was like just these empty spaces
Yeah.
with like rundown buildings, completely
Yeah.
abandoned. They've taken all that down and they've carved out like it looks like lots. And I went on the City Eugene's website. It looks like what they're going to do with that is there's going to be a new riverfront park connecting the
Really?
river to downtown. Yeah, which
Uh,
whenever I hear a downtown with a river, my mouth starts watering. It's
oh,
like San
baby.
Antonio or Traverse City. Yeah,
Yeah,
like that's
Traverse City all over again.
yeah. So it's always a good sign when you
Yeah.
get a new downtown downtown river kind of combination, because
Yeah.
everyone likes to dine, right by the river and stuff. So
Yeah.
this
People
new
love
place,
water. It's
people
kind
love
of
water.
evolutionary, and just like all throughout history, people settle by water. People love water.
Yeah,
Um,
and it seems like what they're gonna do is the riverfront park. It's not just gonna be a park, but um, it's going to have well, like I already said, the bike path is gonna connect that with pretty much everywhere else in Eugene. It's a very bikeable city, by the way. We'll
it
talk
is.
about it later, I
I
guess.
was actually I was actually gonna say. So you're bringing up this new this bike route. I was gonna say what I remember of Eugene's bike infrastructure, which I mean, it's been on its bike wave for a while now,
Yeah,
but it seemed like it was mostly constrained to campus. Almost kind of they were virtue signaling their bike infrastructure. It's like,
yeah,
yeah, we're
yeah,
a bikeable city, but only around campus.
yeah,
But it's
yeah.
cool that they're actually expanding and building up this bike path. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty huge already. The bike path is pretty much finished. I rode around it. Yeah, it's pretty much hugging the river. Um, there's also going to be, though, there's a bit of space for a sidewalk. It doesn't look like it's going to be a a driver a car accessible neighborhood, which is I'm excited for, because that just means more foot traffic. Um, but there's going to be a plaza built. So there's going to be apartments, um, a shopping center, and a playground, all in this kind of river area. So on top of the downtown that we already have, and on top of the university area, as well as Fifth Street Market, if you count
Yeah,
Fifth Street as a separation of downtown, those are a lot of
I
places
consider it
that we
part
can.
of downtown. But when
Yeah,
when I came back there in the spring, last time I was back there, I was blown away at how different Fifth Street is.
yeah, 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 yeah. They're Eugene's definitely building, and they seem to be on the right path, which I'm really happy for. Is
Yep.
someone who's a fan of Eugene. Um, but yeah, really good architecture, or really varied. I guess it's up to you whether you consider these
Sure.
bright, colorful houses as appealing.
Well,
But
that's also when I was a kid. That was one of my well, because I grew up a few hours away from San Francisco,
mm,
and I would always love going to San Francisco because of the different color houses. Like you walk down the street, there's a bright pink house, and then an orange house, and then a yellow house, and I was like, I
like
love that.
Skittles. Yeah,
Yeah, I loved that because I
yeah,
grew up like the neighborhood I grew up in was very like HOA is like you got to have like a
hmm
neutral color house, and everybody's house was like brown or like
Screw the
tan.
HOA, man.
Yeah, and then I come to San Francisco, and there's like a teal with like pink trim, and I'm like, yeah, why doesn't our house look like this?
Yeah, it's definitely something about I guess that San Francisco and Eugene have in common, is that very colorful cities.
Everything.
Every
They're the exact same city.
San Francisco, Oregon. Um,
Um,
but yeah,
they're but yeah, the downtown architecture. I mean, I really like downtown Eugene. I think it's very very cute. In in uh in my professional city planning jargon, I'd classify Eugene downtown as cute.
yeah, that's the right terminology for it.
But like you walk down, and like there's in certain areas there's like a divider in the road with trees and dangling lights.
Hmm
Most of the buildings and businesses have like a facade of like a cute little brick facade or whatever, or like you said, varied. So they'll have like different facades.
Yeah,
But you walk down the
very.
street, and like even like my senior year there, where I've been living there multiple years, I'd still walk down, and the same buildings would just keep catching my eyes. Like, oh, that's cool to
Yeah.
look at. Oh, that's nice to look at. Oh, you know.
Yeah, yeah. It's so strange how even after 5 years for me, I would still be walking downtown and I'd be like, these are such neat buildings, like, and it's not something like out of this world, like, some crazy futuristic kind of thing or anything like that. It's just, it's like a very well rendered video game. I guess it's like that. There's a lot of detail.
We're living
There's a
in a
lot of detail.
simulation.
Yeah,
You heard
that's
it here first, folks. We're living in a simulation.
Eugene, the Eugene version of GTA. That'd be pretty fun, actually. um, but yeah, there's a lot of detail in the city, and a lot of culture. Even though a lot of that is kind of weed culture or university culture, um, together that kind of creates on top of just what Eugene has to offer in terms of its outdoor recreation, which is a lot. There's this all of downtown is kind of surrounded by this one place, Skinner's Butte, which is a pretty easy hiking trail. But it's open to everyone, easily accessible, um, and you can see the whole city from the top of it. It's kind of cool to have that kind of thing as a centerpiece to your city, because it kind of sponsors um, outdoor recreation, and on top of that, kind of a weird sense of community. Um, but it has that, and then it has Spencer's Butte, which is a bit tougher, and it's a few miles,
A
a few
little,
miles
yeah, a
away
little
from
out of the
downtown.
way, much
Yeah,
more of a hike.
yeah, much more.
But also, I mean,
Dual
I
M
think
driven
I
too.
think it's also a sense of you get out what you give in, because like
Yeah,
yeah, uh, Skinner's is beautiful and nice, and a nice sort of in town hike, and you get a
mhm,
good view. Spencer's, it's more of like a day trip, but it's like you're like in the wilderness, and then you come out
yeah,
on the peak, and like you see all around. So
yeah.
it's
It's
definitely worth
it,
out of the
it is
way,
very much worth it.
but worth it. Yeah.
Yeah. There's also a weird breed of squirrels that live on top of Spencer's View. They're these really weird. I don't know what the hell. I don't know if mountain squirrel is a thing, but
Mountain squirrel.
watch out for those mountain squirrels when you go up Skinner.
You know, at
Um,
the end of the day, they're all just fellow scavengers like you and me.
that's right. They are fellow scavengers. They're part of the Bikey gang too.
Yeah,
Um,
the raccoon and the
but
squirrel. Those are our spirit animals, Mr. Raccoon and Mr. Squirrel.
oh, and speaking of that, of the bikes again, for transportation, I want you to remember, they do have a bike share program hosted by the hospital. Kind of strange, but the Peace Health Hospital is right downtown, and they also have these blue and orange now bikes that
Ooh,
they're $15 a month,
15 a month.
and yeah, and they're pretty easy. They you can park them wherever pretty much. They have stations all around the town, um, and very easy to ride. You get an hour a day, which is more than enough if you're commuting somewhere in Eugene to somewhere else in Eugene,
Yeah,
and half
an
an hour
hour
is
on
more
a
than
bike,
enough.
easy. Yeah,
Yeah. Um, but it's good to note that Eugene is the bike theft capital
yeah.
of the country.
I brought
Um,
I brought my freshman year of college. I brought my bike up,
oh no!
and it
And
was
what happened?
stolen like a week into the
So
quarter. My wheels were gone, so I never really got to ride my bike in Eugene because it just instantly got stolen.
it's just dragging the bike,
And it was one of
the
those things
carcass.
where it's like, okay, someone took the wheels. And
Yeah,
I was like, well, okay, whatever. I don't even like. There's no point of locking it up anymore. So I just like kept it where it was. And then slowly but surely, as I would like walk past it, another piece was gone. Another piece was gone.
it's just Eugene townies will pick at it like vultures. Like
Yeah.
they really will. Apparently, so much so that even uh, there's a bike lock company called U-Bike that that specifies that if your bike gets stolen while locked with a U-Bike securely, you will get your bike back paid for, including the lock.
Wow.
The only two places where that isn't covered is New York City and Eugene. So
Wow.
that's really says so. Eugene and New York are very alike in a few ways. Yeah.
Like I said,
yeah.
Per capita. There's two things where Eugene and New York are similar, or actually, I guess Eugene beats New York. I don't know if it beats New York in bike theft, but per capita, more homeless people. And I'll just go ahead and say per capita, more bike thefts.
More bike theft, it'll be, there's definitely an issue there. The other thing that I remember Eugene being the top of the list of is, well, maybe not just Eugene, but the Willamette Valley in general has the highest pollen counts in the country.
Really?
So if you have allergies, come April, May.
They say that a sneeze is 1/16 of an orgasm. So come spring, you will be done.
Sneeze 16 times in a row, you have to change your pants there.
Bring an extra pair of underwear when you visit Eugene in the spring.
That's right. Oh yeah, for various reasons. But yeah.
They don't call it the Dirty Huge for nothing.
That's right, and that is its nickname.
That is his nickname.
I always thought that the name Eugene was a bit underwhelming. I always wished that it would be called
a fucking nerd name. Like who in this day and age, like if you're a parent and you name your child Eugene, man, what did that kid do to you? What did that?
God, Lord have mercy on his soul. Actually, another fun fact. Eugene, thank God, I guess it's a step in the right direction, but Eugene was originally named Skinner's Mudhole. It's not a euphemism. Yeah.
No. Oh man, that's worse than Jackson's Hole.
Yeah, that's right. Skinner's Mudhole.
We're broadcasting live. I spent a week in Skinner's Mudhole.
If you know what I mean.
Best week of my life.
Yeah, best week. After a few days, I'm sorry, I started thinking it's getting kind of small in here.
Also, fun fact, so Eugene Skinner is what Eugene is named after, who Eugene is named after. And that is the principal in The Simpsons, Eugene Skinner. And Matt Groening is from the Eugene area. So that is, that's that little fun little connection there.
Yeah. And if you go to one of the bordering the bordering town, kind of a spillover of Eugene, some might say, Springfield, Oregon, there's a huge mural dedicated to The Simpsons. It's actually pretty cool. It's worth a grand pick, if you're into that kind of thing.
One of the very last things, because I know we're getting crunched on time here. The boss, the RA's knocking on our door, and I still have a screwdriver in hand here. But one of the last things I do want to talk about in terms of transportation, great, very bikeable, very walkable, also very good, very reliable bus system.
Yeah.
You can easily get from, Joseph and I would walk from campus to downtown, but for some people that's not walkable distance.
That's too much.
That's not walking distance for some people. You can easily get from campus to downtown on a bus. The MX, or as I'll always refer to it as the EMX, but apparently it is supposed to just be the MX.
I didn't know that either. Yeah.
Because it's spelled out EMX, but the EM is M as in Emerald Express. It's the MX. But it's a very
that's what it stood for.
It's like every 10 minutes or something like that. There's a bus, and reliable. I've never really had any issues with it. It's free to students. Do you remember how much it costs for like a real adult to ride?
Yeah, for the MX and an LTD as well. They're both $1 for a one way. So
Oh yeah,
it's just a flat fare one way. Once you get off, you gotta pay again if you get back on. But yeah, EMX is
pretty cheapo mode.
it is pretty it's pretty great for that. In Portland, the bus pass is $2.50 for well, for 6 hours, not one way, but still
Yeah, I can't
significantly
imagine having
cheaper.
to ride a bus for 6 hours in Portland to get
Yeah.
somewhere.
Yeah. Um, but anyway, the LTD, which is the kind of the overall um, bus bus route, it takes you out of Eugene and it connects you into to the neighboring towns of Lane County. It goes to Springfield, of course, to Cresswell. Um, I think it goes to Veneta as well, actually, which are
Wow.
just towns just a few miles away from
Wow.
Eugene. Not really too noteworthy. If you're in Eugene, you should just pretty much stay in Eugene. Maybe visit Springfield. Springfield's
Springfield,
downtown is has a little
yeah,
bit of something. Not really.
it's
Um,
it's also interesting to just see the culture shift from Eugene to Springfield too.
that's true.
That's worth a see.
Yeah,
Um, we've got Eugene, like I mentioned before, very liberal, and it's a college town, so those all tend to be very liberal. And then Springfield, it's just right there, turns into a much more blue collar, uh, conservative area. And it's interesting to see how fast that shift is.
while we're on it, I guess to close it, and just for demographics, I have down here, Eugene is 82% white, 10% Hispanic, which I didn't see coming really. 7% mixed race, 4% Asian, 1.5% black, and the rest are other. Um, but yeah, Springfield also has a pretty high Hispanic population. Um, but it's not the most diverse place. But the university kind of helps with that.
Yeah,
The only issue is,
um,
they're going to be younger,
yeah, yeah. I'm
very
I'm
specifically.
actually surprised. I thought it would be a higher white population, just given
Yeah,
the history of Oregon. Um, that
yeah,
I won't go too deep into now because
sure.
well,
Yeah,
time constraints, and it's not necessarily a happy story,
right.
um, but yeah, I mean, the university I'm sure does help a lot with that, which
Yeah,
is good.
yeah. So overall, if you're regardless of who you are, you'll find a little something for you. A little drinking, a little smoking, a lot of outdoor activities.
Yeah,
So much room
that's
for
nice.
activities over
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
And if we haven't like said this already, it's a very green place. It's just beautifully covered in the
And
downtown and
honestly,
surrounding area.
if you're thinking about visiting, go
Mhm.
now. Go in like go to Halloween. Spend Halloween in Eugene. That's probably the best time to go to Eugene because
Right.
of the foliage and because I mean Eugene during Halloween time, it's a good time. So
Yeah. Yeah. And I do have just I gauge the locals the locals take on something is kind of consider myself a local at this point too, but I will just interject my own opinion on it. But the biggest issue that locals have with Eugene is the homeless population, as stated, which is odd. I guess the the locals split into two ways. Some locals are homeless,
unless you're
and then the
living in an
locals,
ivory castle somewhere off in the world, then
yeah,
you think, it's grand that there's these
right.
homeless people.
And the other thing is the rising price of rent. So just two things to keep in mind, even though it's not it's not absurd. It's just uh, it's really inflated itself in the past 3 or 4 years. Um, but the things that locals love the most about Eugene is its walkability, its transportation, and um, the sense of community.
Yeah.
It should be noted also that there's a Saturday market every
Yeah.
Saturday. They've actually built a brand new like an amphitheater kind of thing for the Saturday market.
Really?
So yeah, it's even the Saturday market is expanding. They
Wow.
still use the regular grounds too, but it's pretty every Saturday it draws a huge crowd. Same thing for the winter market. Um, Same thing for there's a I don't know if you ever went to this, but there's a Fifth Street beer fest that they host every
Oh, I didn't know about
July.
that. Every
Yeah, I
July.
went to it. Yeah, I went
I've
to it while
never.
I was there visiting. But,
Yeah.
oh, true. Yeah.
Fun fact: I've
But
never
that
been
also
to Eugene in July.
that's crazy how that works though.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, so there's a lot of stuff to do in the community. The arts, it's a very artistic place.
Yeah.
Um, Although there's not a huge amount of well-known acts that come to Eugene. You have the Cuthbert Amphitheater, which is probably the biggest one that most people go to for
You think so? More
uh,
than McDonald's?
raves and well, I guess yeah, McDonald is the more yeah, I guess McDonald is the more central one. I'm just
Yeah.
thinking about like in terms of space, the Cuthbert
Oh,
is like
biggest in terms of area. Yeah.
yeah, so
They're
like
big.
people like
Yeah.
uh I
Yeah.
saw Alt J there one year and it was it's an open space and it's fully packed.
Yeah.
But in terms of art, there's a huge jazz not huge in terms of the city. There's a huge uh, jazz scene there. There's actually a jazz station devoted only to jazz um, and you get a few things on tap right downtown. Um, but yeah, that's about it in terms of the arts. They do have some. You'll see a lot of knickknacks being sold in the Saturday market.
Yeah.
But really, when you go to Eugene, in terms of art, it's kind of just in the city, kind of like in the essence of the city. Um, you kind of see
That's
the
that's beautifully
um,
put, man. The art of Eugene is Eugene itself.
yeah, yeah. Honestly, I think that's the biggest part of the art world in Eugene is Eugene itself. It's just a very eclectic town
Right.
and
Because you're
very
not gonna get
relaxing.
like Drake. Drake isn't gonna perform at McDonald's ever.
Mm,
I doubt.
no,
They'd have to give him they'd have to give him an exorbitant amount of money. Like Drake or Kendrick or like someone like that is not gonna come to Eugene.
yeah,
An artist that's like on the rise or an artist that's like sort of mellowing out in his career, they'll
yeah.
come. But it's like a lot
That's
of
pretty much.
I've had so much fun at house shows, at McDonald, at just being the local art, or you go to the Saturday market and just look at whatever random knickknack that some random
Yeah,
person made, and you're like, wow, this is
and
and just like, well,
wow,
you're like, wow, I never bought any of
you
them,
just
but
keep
you're just
walking.
like, wow.
Yeah, that's just that. That's all there is to say. This
Wow.
person, they pour their lives into this thing. And
You just want, wow. All right, next.
you just deny them their dream. You know.
I'm,
Uh,
I'm selling this for only $2. I worked hundreds of hours producing this thing. Wow.
Perfecting my craft. So a lot of them get, a passing wow. Um, but yeah, Eugene does have its knickknacks. Um, I I will say um, it's it's just such a pleasant place to be. Um, there are if you're ever in Eugene, you don't know what to do. just pick up the Eugene Weekly, the local newspaper. Was something I did when I went to visit there is, at that point I didn't really know too many people that moved out of Eugene. So even if if you just go in there to visit, you don't have anyone to visit. If you pick up a copy of Eugene Weekly, which is free around town, you'll see that there are dozens of things to do in Eugene that the students will tell you otherwise, but there's a lot of stuff to do in Eugene that's completely free, if not $2 to $5 fare, that really makes you feel like part of the community. I know a lot of the local breweries and the local bars, they host trivia nights, they host comedy nights, um, they they have a ton of things, including their live bands can be found all over the place. Um, so just to be noted, it might look kind of like a sleepy, relaxed town, and that's because it is. But that doesn't mean that there aren't things worth doing there. More than anything, if you want to live in um, a place that isn't in the middle of nowhere, and feel like you have a sense of community, Eugene's kind of the ideal place for that. It's not too small, and
Yeah, it really is a perfect size medium town.
yeah, and you'll feel right at home if if you put in a little bit of work. If you actually go looking for it, you'll feel like a part of the community really easy and really quickly. But that's
All right.
Eugene for you, in my opinion. Yeah,
Should we give our rankings?
I think we should.
All right.
I
I give Eugene 8 out of 10 screwdrivers.
8 out of 10. I think I'll give Eugene. I really like Eugene, so I think I'm gonna give it 4.5 out of 5 um, blueberries. I mean blackberries. I'm sorry. Four and a half
Marionberries.
out of 5. Marionberry.
Marionberries.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
that's a very Eugene thing. Is the Marionberries. Yeah, 4.5 out of 5 Marionberries for me. Um,
There you go.
yeah,
Go see Eugene.
yeah, not much to knock it about. Especially if you want to feel like a part of a town. Part of the community. Um, but that was the Bikey Gang's first installment of Eugene. Um,
I hope you guys enjoyed it.
I hope we delivered. Yeah.
End recording.